The Quran also contains a chunk of the Aramaic Targum, and it abruptly ends. It seems to be just plopped right in there, and it's a word for word. Another odd occurrence is that this story or this myth or legend is very big in the Eastern Orthodox Church, which is the account of the 7 youths of Ephesus that get run into a cave to flee from Diocletian's persecution, and the cave is bricked up by their pursuers, so they just die in there. And when they come out, the pagan city of Ephesus, with its smoke-filled skies and blood-strewn altars because of the sacrificing of animals, is now a Christian city. And it was only realized when one of them went out to buy bread for the rest, and the money that the child had was ancient. It was 100 years old, and this was I guess the first Rip, Rant, and Winkle story. But what they thought was a day happened. They happened to sleep for 100 years without change. This is in the Quran. And remember, the first thing we have that's the first book or full piece of writing that is in Arabic is the Quran. There are some hadith that's talk, and there's the boast saying that how could this one man, Muhammad, even though that's just a title, his name was Abu al-Qasim, have recited recited these surahs in a form in an ancient form of Arabic. Well, there was no such thing as an ancient form of Arabic. The ancient form of Arabic was Syro-Aramaic, and we come to find out that Quran was discovered that is in fact in Syro-Aramaic, it's just using the Arabic, the new Arabic lettering system. And many passages make much more sense. Some of the passages, even in the modern Quran, are gibberish, and that the diacritical markings, not just the vowels, but also the diacritical markings, were not added until 200 years after the invention of the Arabic script. And the other glaring things, why is Muhammad mentioned 4.5 times, or the word Muhammad 4.5 times in the Quran, and Jesus, Mary, Abraham, Moses get mentioned hundreds of times. In fact, the Virgin Mary is mentioned more in the Quran than she is in the Bible, the Christian Bible. There's another strange thing is in the Quran, there's a surah that says, chastising the people, saying, day and night you walk past the cities which were destroyed by God. And all Quranic scholars and throughout all history, this has been known to identify the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, which we know exactly where they stood, or they were said to have stood. They're Bab Edra and Numera. They're even said to be on the Dead Sea in the actual text of the Bible. And that day and night they passed them by. Day and night, you people of the city that the speaker of the Quran is talking to is chiding people. Day and night you pass by these things. You see them daily. Why do you not repent? Why do you stay in your wickedness? Well, Mecca, the city called Mecca today, which there's no evidence that it existed at the time when Muhammad was supposed to live, is like 1,000 miles away. And it's not really on any trade route. Not to mention the flora and fauna, all the animals, all of the olive orchards and all these things, all these occupations, all the plants and animals that are mentioned in the Quran cannot exist in anywhere near Mecca, but they can in southern Palestine or northern Palestine or Iraq, northern or southern, and they did. In fact, the one place that we know that all of these existed and was on a major trade route was all along the Jordan River. All of these were huge commodities. You could have men with many cattle. Then going on to these wars that were supposedly fought. Well, I should back up. What were the people called that were invading areas? Saracens, Ishmaelites, Hagarenes, Tayyid, whatever that means. But they were never called Muslims. The first time they get called Muslims is over a century and a half later by a Christian writer, and they themselves, these conquering people, who we're told are the Umayyads, only refer to themselves as Mu'mineen, and their commander is Amir al-Mu'mineen, commander of the faithful. During this period, the 2/3 of the army of the Saracens or Hagarenes or Mu'mineen were Syriac or Coptic or Monophysite Christians, and their navy was 100% Christian. From Patricia Crone to Tom Howland to Fred Donner to a bunch of German guys who I'm going to butcher their names, so I won't even say. Look at this and say this is a form of Syriac Christianity. We can't call it Islam yet. The early Umayyad period or before that, it is Syriac Christianity, and it quite blatantly is, and it comes from Palestine and Iraq, Arabia. Even if you only have read the Bible and not Roman writings, Arabia is east of the Jordan. It's not necessarily south. And the spice routes, the trade routes, were in between the Byzantine and Sasanian empires. Why would you travel by caravan from a place like Avdat or Joppa, go all the way down to Mecca, which is in the middle of a desert and hundreds of miles from the sea? Then where would you go from there? Why wouldn't you go the easiest route, which is across land? You're not going through any great desert. You're following the rivers, freshwater rivers, mind you. Not to mention, Mecca does not appear in the Quran. People will say it does, but the word is Becca. And we know where the valley of Becca is. It's in Lebanon. Again, another place that Syrian Christianity was huge. Edessa, the valley of Becca, Damascus, Antioch, the areas outside of Jerusalem were filled with, again, Syriac Christianity is an umbrella term for the various Gnostic and Ebionite forms, but the Syriac Christianity mainly means this version of Jesus who may or may not have been born of a virgin, was just a prophet of God, the last prophet, the seal of the prophets, but not God himself. And there are various views on his crucifixion, because again, this is an oral culture. They did not have priests. They didn't believe in celibacy. And the Dome of the Rock, when the Dome of the Rock was put up, look at how it reads. It says, Muhammad is the praised one. He's not the Son of God. And then the rest of it goes out about Christ and the Virgin Mary. Both the inner statement, how you doing, and the outer statement. Now, why stress that Muhammad is not the Son of God? Some sects of Judaism back then called Moses the Son of God, and some and the Christians called Jesus the Son of God, quite blatantly. But when did Muslims ever believe, according to their own belief system, that Muhammad was the Son of God? Now, again, the Quran, it makes some... Here, I'll go on to part 3.